Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got a neat little video. We are up at one of the Bose regional engineering facilities up around Detroit, Michigan, and we're gonna get a little bit of a tour of what goes into the engineering process for Bose Automotive Systems. Talk to a few of their marketing and development people, and kind of just get a little tour of what goes into their system. Now, something I do want to say, we're gonna listen to some copyrighted music in there, and there's just no getting around it. We gotta use their tunes and kind of how they represent their systems. So unfortunately, we're not able to monetize this video. So any of the ad revenue is not gonna go to us. So we'd super appreciate, we don't often ask for it, but liking and subscribing, helping out the channel. And at the end of the day, I just want you all to see kind of this cool audio experience, especially for you all on the channel who really do appreciate audio and what goes into automotive audio. So let's head inside and check it out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and I'm here at the Bose engineering facility out in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, with some representatives from Bose Automotive, representing some of the best and finest and most cutting edge technology that they have going into vehicles here in 2021 and beyond. So I'm going to introduce Kevin, have him give a quick overview of the facility and what he does, and we're going to go through a few cool steps and elements into the Bose automotive engineering process.
Thanks, Charlie. I'm Kevin Doak. I manage media relations for the Bose Automotive Systems Division. So I'm based near our headquarters in Massachusetts, in Framingham, Massachusetts, and I'm here in our regional office in Bloomfield Hills. We do a lot of great system engineering work with a lot of different vehicles, a lot of different manufacturing customers, and you'll get to see some of the stuff that we're working on for future generation systems and vehicles.
Great. Well, today we're going to go through a few of the cool elements that they have here at this facility, the critical listening room, and then check out what they've got going on in this Sierra Denali and the Yukon Denali, some kind of special what they think can be happening in the next few years of automotive sound engineering. Mark's going to introduce the critical listening room and where we're headed to next.
All right. My name is Mark Armitage. I am the acoustical system engineering manager here in Bloomfield Hills. We are the group that actually goes through and tunes many of the vehicles that come out of this facility. So we're going to start with the critical listening room. This is our room that we use as a reference to make sure that when we listen to a piece of music in the vehicle, we know how it's supposed to sound. And we use that as our reference point to make sure that we are properly aligned with what the artist's intent was. So
a little bit of a zeroed out point, a little bit of a palate cleanser,
Yep.
Some ginger, if you will, to sort of zero everything out. And that kind of raises an interesting question. I say all the time in my videos that we test at neutral EQ, all the EQ settings set to 0. And from what I understand and what you reinforced, those EQ settings are what you all intend the system to sound like. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Cool.
We set everything to be at the detent levels, and then that way people, for personal preference, can go through and adjust as they choose to.
Great. Well, let's go check it out.
All right.
Because we wanted to get an accurate representation of these sound areas, even with our binaural headphones, there are some pretty large discrepancies in volume for the rest of the video. So again, we highly recommend keeping an eye on that volume control and using headphones. So immediately, as I'm sure you all can tell from the binaural microphones we're wearing, it sounds pretty neat in here. It's remarkably quiet. It'll be interesting. I've probably never tested these microphones in such a silent space. It'll be interesting to see what sort of kind of background we get, and what do they call it? A sound floor when there's a little bit of like noise to the speakers or microphones.
Yep. So this is our critical listening room. This room is actually set up very similar to a mastering studio for production of music. This room is very specifically designed not to have square surfaces so that you don't have standing waves, no reflections. The walls are a couple feet thick, has its own air conditioning unit, and even down to the concrete of the floor, it has its separate foundation from the rest of the building so that we don't have any sound that transfers through the floor into this room.
Awesome. Well, you can definitely tell it's something special in here. So you must have it set up perfectly for audio listening then, eh?
Yep, that is the intent of the room.
Cool. All right, well, let's take a seat down here. And when you're listening to high fidelity audio, what service do you use?
Right now we're actually using the Amazon lossless music.
Is there any sort of advantage you found of that versus some of the other lossless things, or is it just kind of a corporate decision?
No, it was just what we happen to use. Lossless is the key, though. I mean,
Sure.
Typically, we do most of our listening with WAV files on USB, and
What do you know? It's exactly what we use. Wonderful. Well, let's listen to a few of your demo tracks here with a setup.
Billboard, baby, do a leap and make them dance when they come on. Everybody looking for a dance floor to run on.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life. Glitter in the sky, glitter in my eyes, shining just the way you like. If you're feeling like you need a little bit of company, you met me at the perfect time. You want me, I want you, baby, my sugar boo. I'm levitating, the Milky Way, we're renegading. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. Tonight, I just wanna take you away. Throw your hands up in the sky. Let's set this party alright. Players, put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out. Pop, pop is so
So tell us a little bit about the speakers in here and what we're working with.
yes. So what we actually have in here are the Genelec studio monitors. Genelec is a well-known name in the industry for recordings. It's very common what you'll see in the very high-end studios.
Okay.
Very flat, very natural speakers. We use these because they are kind of the industry standard, and our goal is to come as close to hearing what the artist heard when they were creating the music, so that we know when we go back into the vehicle what the song is truly supposed to sound like.
Okay. And now, when I'm sitting here, it sounds like the music's coming right from in front of me, but from what I understand, we're only dealing with two of these speakers, right?
Yes, currently we're only listening in stereo mode in this room. So this front speaker, even though the vocal is singing right here, this speaker is not even running. If I were to turn the speaker off, nothing changes. But the vocal is still right here because the speaker's image well, the room is set up well.
And if I move just a little bit over here,
Yep.
hear a totally different
Yep. So that's
experience.
what's very interesting when you go from a room to a car. As you move just slightly off center, everything collapses to the near side because you're no longer centered in between the two speakers. When we go into a vehicle, we're always off center of the. And so our goal as we create a system is to create that same listening experience where you have a center vocal right in front of you, a left, a right, and sense of envelopment. But we don't want to do that in a single seat. We want to do that in every seat in the car at the exact same time using the exact same speakers.
Quite the challenge.
Yeah, that's where our magic kind of comes in.
Sure. So what is the purpose of having a surround setup then, just when you feel like testing 5.1?
Yeah, the room is capable of doing full surround
Okay.
reproduction.
Neat. Cool. You want to do the next one?
Sure.
as professionals who have been doing this for a long time, when you're tuning a vehicle, how often do you find yourself coming back in here to sort of reset yourself, even though, I mean, you probably have so much of a better idea of what true sound should sound like than 99.9% of people on Earth.
So one of the interesting things with the human hearing, human vision, is how quickly it starts to adapt to make things what you're hearing to the way you want it to be. So we have to come in here relatively often, depending on what you're doing, especially when it gets into the critical parts. Your hearing's only good for maybe 20 minutes before it starts to shift. Much like if you were to have a TV and someone were to slowly start turning the blue up on the TV, your eyes would continually adjust to that, and then when you put it back to normal, everything would look red. And it's very similar to that. So when you're doing long sessions of tuning, it's not uncommon you step out of the car and just things around you don't sound right anymore. You walk out, the birds don't sound natural in the trees. And so it's very important that we are very conscious of that to make sure that what we're actually putting out is representative of our reference.
Wow. Do you ever just come in here and have the music off and just have a space for you to be very quiet?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Typically, I find outside works very well for that because it's
Really?
not quite so quiet, and it is kind of a natural environment.
Okay.
You're used to, kind of hearing some of the, it's pretty quiet around our office, so there's not really a lot of outside noise, but just having the rustle of the leaves and the birds in the trees and all of that kind of helps as a reset.
Cool. Well, this is really incredible, both listening to these speakers and then listening in a room like this and experiencing a room like this. So, neat. Well, let's go check out some of the vehicles and see kind of what you all are envisioning for what audio can be in the next few years.
Absolutely.
So out here, we've got two GMC vehicles you all are very familiar with, and Bruce, who's going to tell us a little bit about what we're doing with them.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie. Bruce Sanborn, Senior Marketing Manager at Bose. So you heard the critical listening room, and so what we want to do is take that real-life reproduction of sound and bring it to life in these vehicles here. So, not just great audio reproduction, but what's our vision for next generation in-cabin experiences? And these two trucks represent that portion of it. As consumers spend more time in their vehicle to get jobs done, go to places, connect with others, remain safe, these two concepts represent that vision for us. So now what we're going to do is put you first in the Sierra Denali. You're going to listen to that truck, then we'll transfer you to the Yukon Denali so you get a sense of what our vision is for the future.
Cool, let's check it out. As you can see, it looks like a totally normal truck, but as you spend a little bit more time, you start to realize something's going on with the speaker grills. You have this really neat looking metal all around, a few interesting speaker placements. So let's put the windows up and start this demo. Looks like we got an iPad Pro of some sort on here. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Bose experience for the Next Generation Premium Series. This demonstration represents our vision for the next generation pickup sound system. Select your music from the front panel.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life.
What you're hearing now is the full immersive sound of our 12-speaker Premium Series system concept. You may already notice some spatial and spectral improvements over the current generation pickup systems. This concept features Bose bass sync technology. By precisely aligning the outputs from the various bass speakers in the car, we can reproduce rich bass sounds that remain focused and tight regardless of where you're sitting.
All night, come on, dance with me. I'm levitating you. Moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you. All night, come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
I'm one of the greatest, ain't no debating on it. I'm still levitated, I'm heavily medicated. Ironic, I gave him love and they end up hating on me. She told me she loved me and she been waiting. Been fighting hard for your love and I'm running thin on my patience. Needing someone to hug, even took it back to the basics. You see what you got me out here doing? Might have threw me.
To further enhance and expand the soundstage, our Premium Series 16-speaker system adds 2 ultra near-field speakers to each seat. This brings even more control and customization to your personal audio space.
Get out and get your bread up. They always leave when you fall, but you run together. Weight of the world on my shoulders, I kept my head up. Now baby, stand up, cause girl, you
want me, I want you, baby. My sugar boo, I'm levitating. The Milky Way, we're renegading. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got you, moonlight, you're my
is equipped with Bose Centerpoint 360 technology, which transforms a stereo sound into a full cabin experience. Turn Centerpoint 360 on to experience the difference. Notice how the music wraps around you, creating a truly immersive experience. Those ultra-near-field speakers enable personalized or seat-centric audio experiences. For example, with Bose Personal Space, you can adjust your personal sound experience, dialing in your preferred level of immersion without affecting the sound of the other seats. At one end of the spectrum, the music is tightly focused and forward, as if you were right there in the studio with the artists. At the other end, the music takes on a wide and immersive quality. Go ahead and adjust the Personal Space controller to however you'd like to listen to your music. This ultra-near-field equipped concept vehicle also supports the spatial presentation of non-entertainment signals. Imagine a scenario where you're trying to pay attention to a phone call while the Navi system is giving you directions, and the car is warning you about another vehicle in your blind spot. With the traditional audio system, these audio cues can be difficult to understand.
Hey, I hope your day is going well. Can you please stop and pick up the dry cleaning?
Turn right and
It's at the
800
usual
yards.
place on Main. Also, I ordered pizza from your favorite spot. Can you please
Turn
pick
right.
that up? Oh, and please don't forget to let the dog out.
Now let's hear those same prompts with Bose Aware enabled. You'll hear those same 3 audio cues, only this time the Bose Aware will present each sound in the most meaningful place inside the cabin.
Hey, I hope your day is going well. Can you please stop and pick up the dry
Turn
cleaning?
right and
It's at the
800
usual
yards.
place on Main. Also, I ordered pizza from your favorite spot. Can you please
Turn
pick
right.
that up? Oh, and please don't forget to let the dog out.
Gave him love and they end up hating on me. She told me she loved me and she been waiting, been fighting hard for your love and I'm running.
With Bose Aware, a blind spot warning can come from the direction of the potential hazard, but it will sound closer to your ear. A right navigation prompt can come from the front right. Your phone message can be separated from both using ultra-near-field speakers. This improves audio comprehension and reduces distraction, increasing your safety on the road. In vehicles that are equipped with ultra-near-field speakers, the experience can be enhanced to not only render audio from any direction, but also from specific distances. Bose is focused on crafting technology that is directly relatable to experiences the consumer desires and representative of our brand. Increasingly, this means letting world-class music reproduction coexist seamlessly with all the other sounds you hear while you're driving. We hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. You may now exit the vehicle.
So as you can see, they're working on a lot of really cool things, and if they can get a Sierra to sound this good, especially compared to what the current model sounds like, that would be really, really impressive. So let's hop out and talk to Bruce and hear a little bit about what technology we're seeing in there and what sort of features that they're pushing. So Bruce, tell us a little bit about what we're experiencing in there and what some of the highlights are.
Well, what'd you think of it?
I mean, it sounds incredible. It sounds so cool, and it's definitely a next generation experience from what we're hearing in the Sierra right now.
Yeah, so this is our vision of a Bose premium system. So what you heard is a 12-speaker perimeter-based system, as well as a 16-speaker headrest-based system, which enabled those ADAS warnings, that call placement that you heard as part of the demonstration.
Sure.
This is not necessarily representative of this particular truck in the future, but this is what our vision of what a system could be, and it's very representative of our viewpoint from a listening experience, an in-cabin experience, and an industrial design element that would be relatable to today's consumer.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, even though these speaker grills are clearly something you guys have put in, I mean, it looks great. It fits right in with the truck. And then you've got these speakers in the headrest. You can see a little bit. Let me shine a little bit of extra light in there in this dark cabin for you all. So this is similar to what we've seen in the Nissan Kicks, Bose system in there as well, which not a lot of speakers and not a high-end Bose system, if you will, but something that still sounds really neat for that price point. And it'd be really cool to start seeing more and more of that. We also see that with the Miata. It manages to somewhat overcome its audio difficulties by having those kind of in-seat speakers. And it's cool to not only see that utilizing, making good sound, but also taking advantage of things like that phone call. I had the phone call coming from behind me, the ADAS warning sort of behind, and then the directions up right.
Exactly, we're able to render those sounds in space. And the other great thing about headrest-based speakers is we're able to control that personal space that you demonstrated, right?
Right.
So forward and direct, or wide and immersive. And if you do that from the passenger or driver, it's a little bit of personal preference of how you're listening. So maybe you choose to listen forward and direct, where your occupant in the car wants that wide, immersive sound that feels like they're in the center of it. It's all about choice, and that's what this delivers.
Well, from what I understand, this takes that idea to the next level. So let's check that out.
Exactly, Charlie. So this represents our Bose Performance Series system. So this is a 24 speaker system, and we take those headrest speakers and move them to the seat back. So still ultra near field speakers, but by changing that position, using a little extra secret sauce, we're able to amplify that experience, so to speak, from in-cabin experiences. So you'll notice something different with the call placement, the volume zones, and it really is the next level of experiences for those in-cabin features.
Sweet, let's check it out.
Let's go ahead.
So again, we're seeing standard GMC Yukon, Denali, but again, some of these really neat metal speaker grills put in here, large as well, taking up a lot of space. And then, let's get the light out again, not headrest mounted speakers, but you actually see in the seat back, so kind of right around my shoulders, there are speakers built right in here. It's still integrated well, even though this might not be exactly how we'd see it come to the end user. You could certainly see this working out and being something that you could produce.
Welcome. You're about to see and hear what Bose envisions for the next generation of seat-centric in-cabin experiences. Select your music from the front panel.
If you wanna run away with me, I know a galaxy and I can take you for a ride. I had a premonition that we fell into a rhythm where the music don't stop for life.
Next, we'll explore a new dimension in sound reproduction, literally. Bose new 3DX adds a sense of height to a conventional stereo presentation using a combination of signal processing and headliner-mounted speakers. Listen as we transition from a stereo presentation to Bose 3DX.
You're my starlight, I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'll never take you. Moonlight, you're my starlight, I need you all night.
Now, we'll switch back to stereo so you can again hear the difference.
I'm still levitated, I'm heavily medicated. Ironic, I gave him love and they end up hating on me. She told me she loved me and she been waiting. Been fighting hard for your love and I'm running thin on my patience. Needing someone to hug, even took it back to the basics. You see what you got me out here doing? Might have threw me off, but can't nobody stop the move.
Now, we'll turn 3DX on one more time so you can enjoy a truly immersive experience with an added sense of height and elevation.
If I ever slip, I fall into a better situation. So catch up, go put some cheese on it, get out and get your bread up. They always leave when you fall, but you run together. Weight of the world on my shoulders, I kept my head up. Now baby, stand up, cause girl, you
want me, I want you, baby.
This system features ultra-near-field speakers mounted in the seat tops. Ultra-near-field speakers are the key to not only amazing music reproduction, but non-music sound rendering as well. Listen to this example as we use ultra-near-field speakers to enable what we call seat-centric call placement, rendering a phone call directly to your seat without interrupting the music for the other passengers.
Thanks for taking my call. I wanted you to experience our new integrated support for HD voice. In vehicles equipped with ultra-near-field speakers in both front seats, you can take a call without having to compromise your passengers' entertainment. Unlike traditional telephony, which focuses audio on a narrow band of frequencies, our wideband technology extends the range, resulting in higher quality speech. And of course, your voice always stays clear on the far end.
Seat-centric extends beyond telephony and call placement. In this vehicle, we've also integrated seat-centric volume control. Those ultra-near-field speakers help to enable independent volume control in the front seats, and even the ability to mute the audio in the rear row altogether. This gives you more control over personal and shared listening experiences, eliminating volume disagreements. First, let's set the front row up as 2 separate volume zones with music alternating from one side to the other. Listen as we move the front seat audio over to the passenger side. The music that was playing in the driver's seat is now playing strictly in the passenger seat. This vehicle is also equipped with 2 independent volume knobs in the front seat, allowing you to manage your own personal volume. Adjust your personal volume with the top left knob on the center console. Notice your volume changes while the volume in the passenger seat remains unchanged. Whether we use physical controls like this or soft controls on a UI screen, research through focus groups indicated easy access to the controls is very important.
I want you, baby, my sugar boo. I'm levitating. I got you, moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating. You're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
I'm one of the greatest, ain't no debating on it. I'm still levitating.
Now, we'll remove the focus from the front row and transition back to full cabin audio for those times when everyone wants to enjoy the same audio experience.
Even took it back to the basics. You see what you got me out here doing? Might have threw me off, but can't nobody stop the movement. Let's go. Left foot, right foot, levitating. Pop stars, do a leap with the baby. I had to lace my shoes for all the blessings I was chasing. If I ever slip, I fall into a better.
What about the times when you want to listen to music, but your rear seat passengers are having a conversation, watching their tablet, or are sleeping? We can also shape the environment so the front and rear seats are their own zones. This level of audio isolation between the front and rear seats ensures a better listening experience for both you and your passengers. To experience this fully, exit the vehicle and get in the rear seat behind the driver.
I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. You're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. We take you for a ride. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Take a look at your gloss off, and I'm feeling so electric, that's what I saw. And even if I wanted to, I can't stop.
The volume in the front seat remains unchanged, but as you can hear, the effective audio level is substantially reduced in the rear seat. You can barely hear the music while the front row keeps on rocking. Now we'll go ahead and turn off rear seat attenuation and return to full cabin audio. You will notice that even the rear seat has the same great and true-to-life sound as the front seats. Bose is focused on crafting technology that is directly relatable to experiences the customer desires and representative of our brand. Increasingly, these experiences are seat-centric, personalized, and adjustable. We hope you have enjoyed this demonstration. You may now exit the vehicle.
So obviously some really neat things we're seeing. I mean, this thing sounds amazing in every seat. Plus just that ability to kind of adjust the volume where you might want it. I know there are plenty of times when I like to listen to my music really loud, but Alyssa, she'll like listening to it, but she doesn't want to hear it quite as loud as I want to. So to be able to have these speakers right here and kind of adjust. I mean, it doesn't do it fully. It's not like in the passenger seat you hear nothing, in the driver's seat you can blast it, but to be able to at least take that edge off and make it sound different enough to kind of attest to people's preferences, that could be really cool to see something like that. So Bruce, I was just talking about how cool it would be to be able to listen to, like, I know my fiance, she likes a lot of the same music I do, but she doesn't like to listen to it quite as loud as I do. So it'd be cool to be able to at least have that fine tunability, and
Right,
that's
so
a neat way you did that.
Volume zones, right? That's
Yeah.
able to adjust that. If it's, again, personal choice, preference of how loud you want to listen to it, or maybe it's just not my favorite song.
Sure.
To adjust that down until the next one comes on where you can turn it up.
Yeah. No, super cool stuff going on in that, and again, the ultra near field, you can hear how it sort of tips it up to the next level compared to that. I mean, when that phone call comes in, it'll be cool to hear what it sounds like on the microphones, because in real life it sounds sounds you never really heard before in a vehicle.
Yeah, it's that, again, that personalization. If you want to take the call, maybe you don't want to share it with your fiance at the time, right? And it's for you. Or our vision is that there's a HMI interface where you can share that with the whole cabin of the
Okay.
whole car, right? So grandma calls, when are you coming for dinner? Share that with the whole vehicle.
Sure.
Maybe it's a work call. Maybe you just want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It can be isolated to your seat with minimal distractions to the rest of the occupants.
Yeah, that's really, really cool stuff. So you mentioned that this is a Bose Performance Series. That's a Bose Premium Series. Can you speak a little bit to sort of how Bose delineates between the few different lineups?
Yeah, so Bose Premium Series, I'll say, is the bulk of the systems out there, and Bose Performance Series are there for those vehicles and those consumers that want something a little extra. It's a little up-level performance, not just speaker placement or count, but also the refinement. And we do have performance levels internal to Bose that our OE original equipment partners have to hit to make it a performance series type system. So it's an elevated type performance. Brands like Infiniti, Corvette have performance series levels. So you think about the use case for that customer and that segment, it really helps separate it from the rest of the field.
Sure, and those are some of the most impressive systems we've heard is the Corvette, is that recent Infiniti QX55 that we just had, hearing some of those performance series.
Exactly, and so you can really tell that difference. So it's a way to separate that out. And you notice things like not just performance of it, but the industrial design, the metal grille refinement, how it says Bose Performance Series. It's those little attention to details that let you know something's different inside this vehicle.
Sure. And then there's one level below Bose Premium as well, right? The small series, is that what it's called?
Yeah, we wouldn't call it below, but we would say for those smaller segments,
Okay.
Bose Personal Space or Bose Small Vehicle Series. As you mentioned, the Nissan Kicks is a great example of that. So again, use case, think about the segment,
Yep.
price point of that vehicle, what the consumer wants.
Right.
Great audio, a little bit smaller price point and a smaller vehicle to make sure that it's appropriate for that segment.
Yeah, and everyone can appreciate the fact that something like a Nissan Kicks, I mean, you can't be cost prohibitive to have an $8,000 sound system and a $20,000 car, and I think people getting into that segment are still impressed with what that's offering compared to other things in the segment.
Exactly, you can't be upside down, but we know that consumers want premium audio.
Sure.
We know that there's a demand for it, and so this is our way to make sure that we're scalable and appropriate for all segments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's really neat. It's really cool experiencing sort of what we might see, and this is something that you could maybe see trickling into the cars in 5 years, 3 to 5 years, this sort of,
Yeah,
is that how far out we are?
Yeah, we'll work with our partners to develop these systems and bring them to life. Our vision is, 4 or 5 years down the road, maybe 6, depending on the development cycle of our automotive partners. But yeah, this is where we see the future going for in-vehicle experiences.
Cool. Well, it's so cool being able to see what you all are doing up here and kind of what goes in, as we said before, kind of the behind the scenes and seeing what's possible with some of these vehicles and sort of experiencing that. So thank you all so much for sharing. Thanks to Kevin and Bruce, and we'll be looking forward to putting it all together and seeing what comes out in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.